Astonishment, quiet sorrow, and profound reflection are the lingering emotions that wash over me. After spending countless hours researching the lives of over 100 prominent Black public figures, we delve into the quiet tragedies of those who traded their original God-given beauty in the harsh realm of Hollywood merely to chase an elusive illusion of artificial perfection. Hello everyone, and welcome back to our Memory Vault. Today, we bring you our latest video, 19 Black Beauty Icons and the Heavy Price of Perfection. Under the flashing lights. The stories we are about to share will profoundly shift your perspective on the true value of beauty, the suffocating pressures of immense fame, and the deep psychological wounds that accompany them, and the reality might truly leave you stunned. This video is perfectly suited to play while you are resting, enjoying a warm meal with your family, or simply taking care of daily chores around the house. All the information presented here has been carefully researched, verified, and compiled from a multitude of reliable sources. If there are any oversights, please kindly leave a comment below to help our channel learn and grow. Please remember to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and ring the notification bell so you never miss our earliest video releases. Now, let us step right into the story of our very first iconic figure, Nicki Minaj. Opening our list today is a name that fundamentally reshaped the entire landscape of the contemporary hip-hop industry, Nicki Minaj. Possessing an innate rapid-fire rap talent, a razor-sharp musical intellect, and a towering, boundless confidence, Nicki burst into the entertainment world like an unstoppable whirlwind. Back in 2009, when her debut album, Pink Friday, was released, she was not merely a musical phenomenon. She radiated a natural, highly distinctive beauty that was absolutely brimming with vitality. However, when viewed through the analytical lens of pop culture, the entertainment machine consistently imposes incredibly harsh, unforgiving physical standards on female artists. To firmly hold onto the title of Queen Sheer Talent is sometimes deemed insufficient. The artist is often pressured to continuously upgrade her visual image to satisfy the highly critical, demanding gaze of the mainstream media. This fierce, unrelenting competitive pressure pushed Nicki toward a pivotal crossroads: cosmetic enhancements aimed at amplifying her body's curves. Most notably, her lower half effectively transformed her into a brand new sex symbol for the modern era. Yet the exhausting race to pursue surreal, exaggerated physical proportions rarely has a natural stopping point. The alterations did not just stop at her physique. The delicate features of her face gradually underwent the influence of various aesthetic procedures as well. A much narrower nose, overly plumped cheeks, and artificially augmented lips slowly began to erase her original unique charm. Having to carry a physical form with proportions that far exceed natural boundaries does not only cause potential difficulties in daily movement. More profoundly, it creates a deep, invisible disconnect between one's outward appearance and their true inner self. From a psychological standpoint, when an artist feels compelled to drastically alter their appearance to cater to the ever-changing tastes of the masses, they are highly susceptible to losing their authentic identity. The heavy labored steps taken on sky-high heels just to support an imbalanced figure serve as clear proof of the immense weight of the invisible crown she wears. For audiences in our age demographic who have weathered many of life's unpredictable storms, there is perhaps a gentle, lingering sense of regret. We deeply admire her undeniable talent, yet we also feel a pang of sorrow when we realize a difficult truth. Sometimes the ultimate price paid for standing at the absolute pinnacle of fame is having to slowly transform oneself into an artificial version, one that eventually becomes a stranger to the very reflection staring back in the mirror. Lil' Kim. In the second position, we take a moment to look back at a story heavily imbued with the deep psychological tragedy of Lil' Kim. Throughout the 1990s, Lil' Kim was an unshakable, towering monument in the global rap scene. She possessed a healthy, radiant, dark-skinned beauty, sharp, striking facial features, and an absolutely mesmerizing magnetic aura. She was the very embodiment of freedom, physical liberation, and the fierce pride of women everywhere. Yet very few people knew that completely hidden beneath that tough, edgy, and powerful exterior was a fragile soul bleeding from severe emotional traumas. In 1996, she entered into an incredibly turbulent, stormy relationship. The derogatory, belittling words from the very man she loved and trusted most, "You aren't pretty enough, you aren't good enough," became like sharp, invisible knives, completely shredding the self-esteem of a deeply vulnerable woman. Through the analytical lens of behavioral psychology, when a person is continuously manipulated and criticized by the one they trust implicitly, they often develop body dysmorphia. Lil Kim began to look at her own reflection in the mirror through a lens of deep resentment and perceived flaws. She turned to plastic surgery not to enhance her art, but as a desperate attempt to run away from her profound emotional scars. What started as just minor, subtle adjustments to the bridge of her nose rapidly escalated into a severe dependency. Her skin gradually lost its original beautiful brown hue, becoming starkly pale. Her lips grew stiff, and her face, injected with far too many fillers, was permanently stripped of its ability to express natural, genuine emotion. When Lil Kim eventually reappeared before the public with an entirely unrecognizable visage, the initial astonishment of her loyal fans quickly morphed into deep sorrow. From a proud, trailblazing feminist icon, she had inadvertently turned herself into a seemingly lifeless wax figure, all because of a desperate urge to satisfy the gaze of those who had caused her so much pain. The story of Lil Kim offers a priceless philosophical lesson about the vital importance of self-love. Absolutely no cosmetic surgery in the world possesses the power to heal the deep wounds of the soul. When you attempt to use physical alterations to patch up a shattered heart, you not only lose your original God-given beauty, but you also forfeit your fundamental right to live a truly authentic life. The tear-soaked trade-offs made by Lil Kim have left us with so much lingering sorrow, but the tragic attempt to cling to youth by the beauty icon in our next position will surely leave you even more astounded. Please do not take your eyes off the screen, because the most heartbreaking truths are still waiting to be uncovered. Vanessa Williams. Continuing our list, in the third position is Vanessa Williams, an absolute historic beauty icon. Back in 1984, her being crowned Miss America was not merely a massive personal triumph. It was a monumental historical milestone that completely shattered deeply ingrained racial barriers within the entire beauty industry. Although she later faced unnecessary, unfortunate scandals that shook her crown, Vanessa proudly rose from the ashes, using her true, undeniable talent in both music and cinema to firmly establish an unshakable position in Hollywood. However, when the entire initial foundation of a career is built squarely upon the title of the most beautiful, the immense pressure to maintain that exact level of beauty through the passing years slowly morphs into an invisible, suffocating psychological prison. As she crossed the threshold into her 50s, the inevitable appearance of wrinkles and the natural marks of time knocked on her door. In an entertainment industry that is notoriously ruthless regarding a woman's age, the terrifying fear of being forgotten and discarded in favor of younger, fresher faces completely gripped Vanessa's mind. She began turning to various rejuvenation therapies as if they were a desperate life preserver. Initially, these were just subtle, refined interventions on the bridge of her nose to create a more elegant profile, but later the heavy reliance on fillers and wrinkle-erasing compounds crossed a dangerous line. The face that had once captivated countless admirers now appeared uncomfortably tight and rigid. The unnaturally puffy, swollen cheeks and a smile that could no longer naturally move her facial muscles completely stripped away the graceful, elegant aura she once inherently possessed. From a humanistic perspective, Vanessa Williams's physical transformation exposes a deeply regrettable paradox. Aging is inherently a profound privilege granted by the Creator. It is beautiful proof of a life that has weathered many storms and accumulated a vast depth of wisdom. Attempting to use modern technology to forcefully freeze time not only fails to deliver eternal youth, but it also cruelly robs the artist of their most precious asset, the genuine, authentic expressiveness of the soul. Even in her 60s, she still walks the red carpet with a confident demeanor, but the public only sees an artificial version desperately trying to cling to the past. If only she had realized that the serene, mature, and worldly beauty that comes with growing older is in fact the one true crown that can never be taken away. Patti LaBelle. In the fourth position, we reserve our deepest respect, mingled with profound regret, for the legendary musical powerhouse, Patti LaBelle. With a soaring, immensely powerful voice and a fiery, explosive performance style, Patti stands as an immortal monument in the soul music genre. Her true beauty never lay in fragility, but rather in the poised, aristocratic, and majestic character of a true queen. For many decades, she dedicated herself entirely to her art and was worshipped by the public with all their hearts. Yet in 2003, when she was in her 60s, a massive psychological earthquake struck. Her marriage, which had lasted for over 30 years, officially crumbled. The reality that the man who had shared her entire youth decided to walk away left a vast, echoing emptiness in the artist's soul. Through the analytical lens of geriatric psychology, sudden, unexpected loneliness in one's twilight years often leads to self-punishing thoughts. A bitter, nagging idea began to creep into Patti's mind. If I looked younger, more alluring, would this painful breakup have happened? The tragic mistake originated from that very thought. She turned to plastic surgery not to enhance her beauty for her beloved audience, but in a desperate bid to soothe an ego that had been profoundly wounded. The surgical interventions altering her nose structure and the heavy abuse of fillers attempting to create a youthful tightness for her skin inadvertently shattered the harmonious legacy-bearing structure of her face. The natural wrinkles that bore the beautiful marks of wisdom vanished, replaced instead by a stiff tightness that completely lacked the soft, warm nuance of human emotion. When Patti LaBelle returned to the stage, her legendary voice still resonated powerfully, still easily capable of reaching the absolute highest notes, but her face could no longer display the emotional vibrations that perfectly synchronized with her lyrics. Audiences felt a deep pang of sorrow, realizing that this great, magnificent woman had tried to use the scalpel to hold on to her youth, but in doing so, had lost the gentle, benevolent, and majestic beauty she inherently possessed. Patti's story delivers a profoundly deep reminder to us all. Family happiness and the true value of a human being are never ever determined by the number of wrinkles on a forehead. When a heart shatters, what we truly need is the quiet time to be still and heal ourselves from within, rather than relying on the superficial interventions of vain cosmetic technologies. Vivica, a fox. Moving into our fifth position, we take a moment to look back at the highly regrettable journey of Vivica A. Fox, undeniably one of the most brilliant and radiant beauties of the 1990s Hollywood silver screen. Having shaken the box office with massive blockbusters like Independence Day and Kill Bill, Vivica possessed a sharp, edgy beauty, mesmerizing eyes, and an unmatched, towering confidence. Audiences adored her, not just for her physical beauty, but for the powerful, commanding aura of a highly influential black woman. However, the relentless grinding wheel of the film industry always harbors an invisible, unforgiving cruelty toward the natural aging process of women. As she crossed the threshold of 40, the gradual thinning of available film scripts and the fading of the media's eager-seeking gaze planted a terrifying seed in the star's heart. The fear of elimination. That anxiety was significantly amplified following her noisy, highly public, and deeply hurtful breakup with rapper 50 Cent in 2003. Through a psychological lens, when a woman has to endure severe emotional trauma, at the exact same time her career begins to stagnate, she is highly prone to clinging to superficial, surface-level solutions in an attempt to regain a sense of control over her life. Vivica began turning to rejuvenation therapies as if they were a desperately needed life preserver. What started as merely minor, subtle interventions aimed at maintaining the smooth tightness of her skin gradually morphed into an inescapable dependency on the pressure to appear eternally youthful. Throughout the period from 2015 to 2020, The excessive over-reliance on filler compounds and aggressive muscle-tightening therapies completely stripped away her original, elegantly refined facial features. Vivica's appearances on the red carpet nowadays bring about a highly forced, uncomfortable feeling. The face that once beautifully expressed hundreds of subtle, nuanced emotions on the big screen has now become tight, stiff, and highly unnatural, resembling a lifeless wax statue. Her once radiant smiles have become strained and awkward, completely losing their inherent glowing brilliance. The story of Vivica A. Fox delivers a profoundly deep philosophy for all of us. The desperate effort to fight against the natural laws of time at any cost often leads to the tragic outcome of losing oneself entirely. Youth is merely a gift with an expiration date, and the true enduring allure of a mature woman does not lie in wrinkle-free skin, but rather in her profound insight, her worldly maturity, and her serene, unhurried grace in accepting the beautiful marks of time. If Vivica's regret over her lost youth makes us feel a pang of sadness, then the deep pain of the television queen in the 6th position, who used the scalpel in a futile attempt to patch up a broken marriage, will surely leave you choking back tears. Please continue to accompany us to fully understand the utmost hidden corners of Hollywood. Wendy Williams. In the 6th position, we take time to analyze a media phenomenon carrying numerous psychological suppressions. Wendy Williams. Starting her career as a radio DJ possessing an explosive, booming voice and a razor-sharp, blunt hosting style, Wendy completely dominated the radio waves without ever needing to worry about the audience judging her physical appearance. However, the major turning point of transitioning to the role of a television talk show host thrust her into an entirely new, highly scrutinized environment, a place where every single gaze critically examines every millimeter of the body. Possessing a naturally larger bone structure and a less soft physique compared to the extremely rigid, demanding standards of television, Wendy began to develop deep, profound insecurities regarding her body shape. That deeply rooted low self-esteem initiated a long chain of cosmetic intervention decisions aimed at completely reconstructing her entire figure. From the perspective of behavioral psychology, Wendy's intense obsession with her physical appearance did not stem solely from the crushing pressures of her work. It was also the direct consequence of a married life heavily fraught with deep emotional wounds. Her decades-long marriage to Kevin Hunter, which was accompanied by his illicit affairs and brutal, callous betrayal, completely shattered the self-esteem of a woman who was widely considered to be the strongest. In a desperate bid to salvage the love and reaffirm her own physical attractiveness, she threw herself into massive, extensive beauty overhauls. The attempt to extremely and unnaturally narrow her waist while simultaneously drastically increasing her bust size created a highly disproportionate, unbalanced bodily ratio. It didn't stop there. Her face also gradually became heavily distorted under the repeated impact of countless filler injections and aggressive surgical adjustments to the bridge of her nose. The transformation of Wendy Williams on television to the point of being almost unrecognizable caused many of her loyal, longtime viewers to feel immense sorrow. Eyes that were once incredibly sharp and expressive were now pulled uncomfortably tight. Her smile became visibly distorted, and the overall harmony of her face resembled a doll that was completely out of sync. She had desperately tried to use medical procedures to wash away the deep pain of being betrayed, yearning to be reborn as a more perfect, flawless version of herself. But ironically, every time she attempted to fix something, it was another time she personally choked out her own natural, unique charm. Wendy's illustrious career stands as proof that no matter how much power and influence you hold in society, if you do not learn how to truly love and accept your own body, you will forever remain a prisoner within the deepest, darkest insecurities of your own mind. Nina Leakes. Continuing our list in the 7th position is Nene Leakes, a figure who fundamentally redefined the very concept of reality television through the hit show Real Housewives of Atlanta. With her highly outspoken personality, razor-sharp words, and a towering sky-high level of confidence, Nene was always the absolute center of all attention. However, the inherent cruelty of reality television lies exactly in this. It constantly exposes every single human flaw under high-resolution, unforgiving lenses. Living in an environment where co-stars were constantly racing to upgrade their physical appearances, Nen could not avoid getting swept into the toxic vortex of comparison. In 2010, she began undergoing her first interventions to narrow the bridge of her nose and slim down her face, driven by the desire for her image to appear more elegant and refined on the screen. Yet those initial interventions seemed to have opened a Pandora's box that simply could not be closed. Through the lens of psychological analysis, Nene's continuous, relentless changing of her appearance has an incredibly close, intimate connection with the deeply sorrowful events in her personal life. The highly turbulent divorce in 2011, the subsequent reconciliation, and especially the tragic passing of her devoted husband Greg Leakes to cancer in 2021 created massive, unfillable holes in her soul. When people feel utterly powerless in the face of life and death and are entirely unable to control the devastating losses life throws at them, they often tend to seek a sense of control somewhere else. And for Nene, that place of control was her own face. She turned to cosmetic injection therapies as a way to soothe her immense pain, a desperate, frantic effort to erase the deep wrinkles left behind by long nights of mourning and crying. But the resulting consequence was a facial appearance that became entirely unfamiliar. Eyes that were once incredibly rich in expression were now pulled uncomfortably tight. The smile that used to light up the entire frame now became stiff wooden and lacking in soul. When audiences look at Nene now, they no longer see the image of a vibrant queen overflowing with vitality, but rather only see a woman desperately trying to use makeup and technology to cover up a soul that is quietly crumbling into pieces. Her story leaves behind a profoundly deep reflection. The glamorous, dazzling halo of fame can never ever fill the gaping voids of loss, and attempting to change one's physical appearance to run away from pain only ensures that we increasingly lose our true, authentic selves. K. Michelle. In the 8th position, we come face to face with a highly powerful cautionary tale within the modern entertainment industry, K. Michelle. Rising to prominence as a deeply soulful R&B vocalist and the breakout star of the show Love and Hip Hop, K. Michelle possessed an undeniable natural beauty and immense talent. However, in the early 2000s, the music and entertainment industry began to witness the explosive rise of an incredibly dangerous aesthetic trend. The standard of a surreal, exaggerated hourglass figure featuring a tiny wasp-like waist and a massively amplified lower half. In order not to fall behind the curve and wanting to firmly assert her own attractiveness, K. Michelle decided to chase this trend, undergoing highly invasive medical procedures to heavily augment her figure. Initially, that dramatic transformation seemed to grant her everything she desired: massive media attention, showering praises, and a brilliantly radiant halo of fame. But hidden deep behind that artificial perfection was a brutally expensive price tag that absolutely no one could have foreseen. From a medical and humanistic perspective, attempting to forcefully cram foreign substances into the body to go completely against its natural structure always harbors the danger of a ticking time bomb. Starting around 2018, horrific life-altering complications began to strike. Her body started reacting violently. Intense, agonizing pain radiated throughout her form, and severe nerve compression caused her legs to gradually lose all sensation. The once brightly shining star now had to face the terrifying risk of losing her ability to walk and potentially even her very life. The grueling journey of having to undergo a series of emergency life-saving interventions to remove those highly toxic compounds from her body was a path filled with immense physical agony and deep regret. K. Michelle had to trade her health and carry permanent indelible scars simply because of those blind moments spent chasing a vain, superficial beauty standard. But what is truly commendable is that she bravely stood up, using her own bitter, painful lesson to warn millions of young girls out there. She proved a profoundly deep truth. Absolutely no beauty standard in this world is worth the price of a healthy, functioning body. True beauty must always come from the natural harmony of the human form, and any attempt to force nature's hand using fake artificial values will inevitably be met with an incredibly cruel and devastating retribution. Peppa. Moving to our 9th position, we take a moment to look back at a face that was once the ultimate symbol of edgy breakthrough in the music industry. Sandra Denton, known far and wide to the world by her stage name, Peppa, from the legendary group Salt and Peppa. During the absolute peak years of her career, Peppa carried an angular, highly distinctive beauty brimming with wild, untamed energy. She represented a pioneering generation of black women who dared to stand up and express themselves completely unafraid of society's highly judgmental gaze. Her powerful aura radiated from a place of original raw confidence, a magnetic draw that required absolutely no borrowing or artificial enhancement. Yet, as time marched on and the bright halo of her massive hits gradually faded into the past, the relentless harshness of the entertainment industry began to place invisible, heavy psychological pressures on this veteran female artist. Through the analytical lens of human life, the noticeable decline in career status, coupled with the painful breakdown of her married life, often creates a highly unstable, disorienting state of being. In order to desperately reclaim a sense of safety and repair her chipped self-esteem, Peppa began to step onto the risky path of cosmetic interventions. The decision to surgically alter her nose in 2007, driven by the desire to have a more refined, delicate appearance, ironically, seemed to become a highly regretful turning point. The intervention did not yield the desired results and severely compromised the inherent natural balance of her face, instead of pausing to seek true peace within her soul. The overwhelming obsession with having to constantly fix newly perceived flaws continued to drag her deeper into the endless vortex of cosmetic injection therapies. Throughout the 2000s, the excessive overabuse of dermal fillers caused her cheeks to become unnaturally swollen and puffy, completely losing the proud, sharply angular features of her past. Her once highly expressive face, capable of conveying a wide range of emotions, was now frozen solid under the paralyzing effects of wrinkle-erasing treatments. When audiences look at Peppa today, they cannot help but feel a deep pang of sadness. The woman who was once the ultimate symbol of rebellion, the one who dared to shatter all the rules, has now allowed herself to be tied down to highly vain, artificial aesthetic standards. Peppa's story serves as a highly costly lesson about the vital importance of acceptance. The greatest, most profound beauty of an aging woman does not lie in the desperate attempt to cling to a flawless, unblemished face, but rather lies in her calm, serene ability to step through the inevitable ups and downs of time with the most peaceful, composed mindset possible. T-Boz. In the 10th position, we pause to reflect on a story heavily laden with the unspoken anxieties of Tion T-Boz Watkins, the very soul of the highly renowned girl group TLC. Possessing a signature raspy and deep voice, edgy blonde hair, and a highly refined, delicate face, T-Boz was once the absolute ideal model for millions of teenagers throughout the 1990s. However, hidden deep behind the glamorous facade of producing some of the best-selling albums of all time was a relentless chain of highly personal tragedies that completely crushed the endurance of a human being. The most massive shock struck in 2002 with the incredibly sudden, tragic passing of her beloved bandmate, Lisa Left Eye Lopes. From a psychological perspective, losing a soulmate, a teammate who felt as close as blood, often leaves behind profound, severe depressive aftereffects, causing a person to fall into a state of deep disconnection from reality. At the exact same time, the devastating toll of chronic internal illnesses severely compromised T-Boz's physical health. When a person feels utterly powerless in the face of the loss of life and the alarming decline of their own body, they often tend to seek out a place where they can desperately regain some semblance of control. And for T-Boz, her face became the primary location where she exerted that desperate, frantic effort for control. The surgical intervention to narrow the sides of her nose in 2005 was the very first step, but the resulting outcome caused her facial proportions to lose their natural inherent harmony. The terrifying fear of aging and illness becoming visible on her countenance pushed her to continue seeking out filler compounds, using them like a heavy mask to cover up the deep, profound traumas residing inside. The tragic consequence of that long chain of interventions is a facial appearance that has become stiff-tight and completely lacking in natural flexibility. Her lips and cheeks lost their inherent natural softness, making the expressions on her face seem forced and highly unnatural. When fans see T-Boz during reunion performances, they cannot help but feel a deep sense of alienation and unfamiliarity. The once radiant, highly individualistic girl from TLC seems to have been entirely buried beneath heavy layers of cosmetic interventions. T-Boz's story brings about a highly sorrowful reflection. Cosmetic surgery may possess the ability to alter the external shell, but it is permanently forever incapable of filling the massive voids left behind by profound loss. Sometimes, learning how to bravely face and embrace our deep emotional pains is the one and only true medicine for a person to genuinely rediscover their true beauty and inner peace. LaToya Jackson. Continuing our list in the 11th position, we take time to deeply analyze one of the most psychologically complex cases in all of Hollywood, LaToya Jackson. Born into arguably the most illustrious musical dynasty in the world, LaToya always had to live under the incredibly massive, overwhelming shadows of her older brother Michael and her younger sister Janet. Despite possessing genuine singing talent and a graceful, charming beauty, the name LaToya seemed like it was never quite enough to allow her to shine truly independently. Through the lens of family psychology, being continuously placed on the harsh scale of comparison and being consistently undervalued by the global media created a massive, overwhelming inferiority complex. The desperate craving for attention, the intense desire to escape the label of merely being background, inadvertently pushed her onto the path of drastically altering her appearance, much like a desperate, frantic effort to completely redefine herself. LaToya's tragedy certainly did not stop at the immense pressures of her famous family. Her highly dark, deeply troubling marriage to Jack Gordon in the late 1980s thrust her into a very real, terrifying psychological prison. Living constantly under the strict control, manipulation, and severe emotional abuse of her husband, LaToya completely lost her right to autonomy. In a state of constant panic and feeling entirely trapped, cosmetic interventions were no longer about a simple desire for beauty. Rather, they functioned like a desperate coping mechanism to escape her harsh reality. The extreme narrowing of her nasal bridge, the lengthening of her chin, and aggressive facial skin tightening seemed to be the ways she wanted to completely erase the silhouette of the weak, suffering LaToya she was forced to look at in the mirror every single day. She desperately wanted to create an entirely new persona to escape her cruel, unrelenting reality. However, the overly excessive, aggressive interventions transformed her face into something highly unfamiliar, rigid, and completely lacking the warmth of a real human being. Her original, elegantly refined features were replaced by a stark lack of proportion, leaving the public in a state of absolute shock. LaToya eventually managed to escape the tight, suffocating grip of her husband, but she inadvertently locked herself into another entirely different cage, the cage of artificial, manufactured perfection. Her story is a highly sorrowful, poignant lesson about the true concept of self-worth. When we fail to truly cherish and firmly establish our own core values from the inside out, we become incredibly susceptible to being severely distorted by external pressures, not only in terms of our soul, but also regarding our physical bodily form. Foxy Brown. In the 12th position, we direct our focus toward Foxy Brown, a striking beauty who was once widely considered the absolute pinnacle of sex appeal within the 1990s rap scene. With her highly powerful, deep and warm voice, her flawlessly glossy dark skin, and her incredibly alluring facial features, Foxy once stood shoulder to shoulder with the biggest, most prominent names of that specific era. She was the very embodiment of a supreme confidence that dared to challenge any gaze. However, destiny sometimes enjoys toying with people in an incredibly harsh, unforgiving manner. Right when her career was reaching its absolute ripest peak, a series of consecutive devastating events struck: severe legal entanglements, the painful collapse of personal relationships, and especially the monumental tragedy of temporarily losing her hearing. For any musical artist, being completely unable to hear the melodies surrounding them is a fatal, devastating blow, completely shattering their entire worldview. From the analytical perspective of crisis management, when the internal world becomes terrifyingly silent and chaotic, Foxy Brown desperately tried to seek some form of compensation from the external world. As the bright halo of her career began to show obvious signs of faltering, she chose to desperately cling to the public's attention by drastically altering her appearance. Starting in the early 2000s, interventions aimed at sharpening her nose and plumping her cheeks were aggressively undertaken. However, the sheer impatience and desperation to quickly regain her former glory caused everything to go far beyond reasonable limits. The excessively large volume of fillers used completely destroyed the natural, elegant grace of her face. Her lips, which were already inherently and incredibly seductive, now became thick and voluminous in a highly forced, unnatural manner, completely ruining the overall harmony of her features. Foxy Brown's reappearance, after a very long period of absence, did not bring the showering praises she had deeply hoped for, but instead was met with the profound regret of her loyal fans. The sharp, irresistible allure of the former rap princess had been entirely replaced by a swollen, puffy, and emotionless appearance. Through the philosophical lens of art, Foxy Brown's journey leaves us with a highly profound reflection on how we choose to face our losses. The true enduring halo of an artist does not reside in a face artificially crafted by medical technology, but it firmly resides in their raw talent and the bravery to overcome severe adversity. When we try to use mere superficial appearances to cover up the instability and faltering of a career, we only inadvertently lose the truest, most authentic light we possess within ourselves. Trina. Moving into our 13th position, we take a moment to look back at the highly compelling story of a beauty who once completely dominated the rap music scene of the 2000s, Trina. Affectionately dubbed the Queen of Miami, Trina possessed an incredibly fiery, highly original beauty, coupled with an unmatched, supremely confident performance demeanor. She was once the absolute symbol of natural, unadulterated allure, proudly representing women who dared to live true to their authentic selves, and who took immense pride in the natural curves bestowed upon them by the Creator. However, as the calendar turned to the 2000s, the entertainment industry began to witness the rapid, explosive rise of an incredibly dangerous new aesthetic trend. The standard of a highly surreal physique featuring a tiny, cinched waist paired with a massively maximized lower half. The sudden influx of younger generations of artists eagerly chasing this trend created an invisible yet extremely brutal, crushing pressure on the veterans who came before them. Through the psychological analytical lens of performing artists, their greatest, most terrifying fear is often not the process of aging itself, but rather the dreaded feeling of being left behind by the rapidly shifting trends of the era. Despite having already reached the absolute peak of her career, Trina still could not avoid the deep sense of instability when she was continuously placed on the harsh scale of public comparison. Instead of remaining steadfast and true to the original natural beauty that had successfully built her entire brand, she made the fateful decision to step into cosmetic clinics to aggressively upgrade her physique. The heavy reliance on body-altering protocols to massively increase the size of her lower half created a severe, highly noticeable disproportion compared to her natural underlying bone structure. Consequently, her frantic efforts to plump her face using various aesthetic compounds also caused her cheeks to become unnaturally swollen, completely losing the delicate, sharp, and refined features of her earlier days. Trina's later appearances inevitably caused many of her loyal longtime fans to harbor a deep sense of sorrow and profound regret. From a highly powerful woman who consistently championed self-confidence, She had inadvertently thrust herself into an endless, exhausting race to meet highly vain, superficial beauty standards. From a humanistic, philosophical perspective, Trina's story serves as a deeply profound warning about the critical importance of preserving one's true identity. When you aggressively attempt to mold and bend your own body merely to fit a fleeting momentary trend, you not only destroy the beautiful harmony of nature, but you also personally drop the proud, hard-earned crown that you spent your entire youth painstakingly building. Lisa Ray McCoy. In the 14th position, we deeply analyze a case that is heavily imbued with severe psychological tragedy following devastating family events. Lisa Ray McCoy. Rising to prominence following the cinematic hit The Players Club in the late 1990s, Lisa Ray possessed a highly aristocratic beauty, piercingly sharp eyes, and a rare, elegant aura of luxury. She was once the beloved muse of countless audiences, an unmistakable, iconic symbol of beauty. However, the highly private life of this prominent star was certainly not paved with roses like her successful career on the screen. The incredibly noisy, highly damaging, and deeply hurtful divorce she went through in 2008 dealt an incredibly heavy, crushing psychological blow to the self-esteem of this woman. The painful betrayal and the vicious, malicious rumors spread by public opinion pushed her into a state of profound, deep internal crisis. In the realm of psychology, when people are forced to endure an overly massive emotional shock, they often tend to develop a strong urge to completely tear down everything associated with their past in order to forcefully build a brand new beginning. For Lisa Ray, physically recreating her outward appearance seemed to be the only way she could genuinely feel like she was truly turning the page to a new chapter in her life. She turned to reconstructive surgical interventions, much like one would seek a mental painkiller. The aggressive narrowing of her nasal bridge and the sharpening of her chin, driven by the desire to create a more angular, structured face, inadvertently destroyed the natural golden proportions that the creator had originally bestowed upon her. The heavy, ongoing abuse of dermal fillers in an attempt to maintain flawlessly smooth skin transformed her once incredibly vibrant, expressive face into a static, silent block, entirely lacking its former warmth. When stepping back out before the public with her brand new appearance, Lisa Ray did not receive the familiar, admiring gazes she was used to, but instead was met with the absolute astonishment of her fans. Her natural, highly captivating allure had been completely replaced by an artificial, stiff, and highly unfamiliar beauty. The story of Lisa Ray McCoy delivers an incredibly poignant, humane lesson regarding true healing. Cosmetic surgery may indeed help you change your physical appearance in the mirror, but it is permanently, forever incapable of washing away the deep, lingering pains of the past. Instead of using the scalpel in a futile attempt to run away from our traumas, what we truly fundamentally need to do is bravely face them, embrace the scars on our souls, and stand back up on our own with the utmost shining pride. Tichina Arnold. Continuing our list, in the 15th position is a highly recognizable face fundamentally associated with the hearty, roaring laughter of millions of American families, Tichina Arnold. With her classic, unforgettable roles in hit comedy series like Martin and Everybody Hates Chris, Tichina always shone brightly through her highly flexible acting style, incredibly rich facial expressions, and an explosive, boundless source of positive energy. Within the collective consciousness of the audience, she is the very embodiment of joy, eloquence, and unpretentious, raw authenticity. However, for artists working within the realm of comedy, their greatest tragedy often arrives at the exact moment they cross the threshold into their 40s. The noticeable thinning of available scripts and the immense pressure to yield the stage to a younger, fresher generation created deep, unsettling cracks in the veteran actress's self-confidence. The stagnation of her career was not even the ultimate end of her pain. The most devastating, destructive event came from a bitter betrayal in her married life, accompanied by incredibly messy private troubles being publicly laid bare before the masses, which pushed Tichina into a state of complete, utter breakdown. Through the lens of psychology, Those who have made a habit of bringing laughter to others are often the clumsiest, most ill-equipped when it comes to soothing their very own, deeply personal pain. To cover up her haggard, exhausted appearance and desperately wanting to reaffirm her self-worth, Ticina sought out various rejuvenation therapies. The excessive, overzealous use of wrinkle-erasing compounds and facial muscle fillers left behind incredibly sorrowful, tragic consequences for a comedic actress. Ticina's greatest, most powerful asset was her unique ability to masterfully control her facial muscle groups to create charming, highly expressive looks, but now they had been severely frozen under the paralyzing effects of cosmetic therapies. The vibrant smile that once lit up the entire frame now became stiff wooden and highly forced. The eyes that were once incredibly lively and expressive were now pulled uncomfortably tight in a highly unnatural manner. When audiences look at her now, they no longer feel that familiar closeness, but only see a desperate, frantic effort to cover up the deep fatigue of time and profound, hidden traumas. The drastic physical change of Ticina Arnold leaves behind a highly agonizing reflection. The truest, most genuine laughter can only ever originate from a peaceful soul and a face that bravely accepts the natural wrinkles of life experience, rather than from a highly artificial mask created by modern technology. Kim Fields. In the 16th position, we take a quiet moment to look back at the highly troubled, anxiety-filled journey of a former child star who once captivated the entire nation of America, Kim Fields. Deeply associated with the image of the innocent, incredibly adorable little girl Tootie from the hit show The Facts of Life, Kim possessed large, sparkling round eyes and a signature radiantly bright smile. But growing up and attempting to escape the overwhelmingly massive shadow of a childhood character is always a highly complex, difficult puzzle for any former child star. After many years of absence from the spotlight, her decision to return to the stage lights via the reality television show Real Housewives of Atlanta in the 2000s seemed to act as a highly dangerous double-edged sword for Kim. Stepping into a highly competitive environment where her co-stars all possessed sharp, edgy looks, meticulously upgraded by advanced cosmetic technology, Kim suddenly felt incredibly plain, rustic, and entirely out of place. Through a sociological perspective, the environment of reality television often manufactures incredibly toxic, highly unrealistic standards regarding beauty. Under the glaring lenses of high-resolution cameras, every single wrinkle, every tiny trace of time is heavily scrutinized and massively magnified. The crushing feeling of pressure when surrounded by seemingly ageless beauties completely struck down the self-confidence of this woman. In a desperate bid to blend in and not be entirely overshadowed, Kim began turning to cosmetic injection therapies. The frantic efforts to erase the wrinkles on her forehead and plump up her cheeks and lips gradually, piece by piece, altered her highly familiar face. Every single naturally adorable, charming feature was systematically replaced by a tight, glossy, and highly stiff industrial appearance. The most heartbreaking consequence of all was the fact that she completely lost the iconic Tootie smile that had originally made her a household name. When the facial muscles lost their inherent ability to move in a flexible, natural manner, her expressions became highly unfamiliar and entirely lifeless. Audiences, upon seeing the Kim Fields of today, cannot help but harbor a deep sense of nostalgia mingled with profound sorrow. She desperately tried to blend into a highly glamorous, superficial world, but the incredibly heavy price she paid was the complete loss of her priceless, unique, personal identity. Kim's story delivers an undeniable, irrefutable truth. Aging is an inevitable natural law, and true, genuine grace lies in how we learn to age calmly, cherishing every single wrinkle as a diary, recording the ups and downs of human life, rather than frantically trying to use needles to erase our very own past. Tiny Harris. Tamika Tiny Harris. Moving into our 17th position, we look back at the highly turbulent, stormy journey of Tamika Tiny Harris. Rising to prominence as a lead vocalist for the highly renowned R&B girl group Xscape in the 1990s, Tiny possessed an incredibly sweet, highly adorable beauty. Her healthy, glowing dark skin, her delightfully round face, and her bright, fresh smile helped her completely capture the hearts of her fans. However, her life took a completely different, unexpected turn when she entered into a highly public marriage with T.I., one of the most powerful, influential rappers in the world. Through the psychological lens of marriage, becoming the wife of a highly successful man who is constantly surrounded by countless hot, beautiful women often pushes a woman into a state of extreme, ultimate insecurity. Tiny gradually retreated entirely behind the scenes, becoming a housewife, living within the massive, overwhelming shadow of her husband. The immense pressure to keep a notoriously flirtatious man interested, combined with a burning desire to escape her own fading visibility, strongly urged her to seek out aggressive cosmetic intervention solutions. Starting around the 2000s, Tiny threw herself into a massive full-scale overhaul of her appearance. Her highly controversial decision to change her eye color through a risky medical surgery sparked countless intense debates. Following that, she desperately tried to lighten her skin tone significantly, narrowed her nostrils, and aggressively plumped her lips. Most notably, the heavy overabuse of dermal fillers to entirely reshape her facial structure completely shattered the graceful, highly cute features of the R&B girl from years past. The final results of those frantic efforts did not in fact bring about a flawless, perfect beauty. Tiny's face became noticeably swollen and puffy, completely losing its natural expressiveness, and was described by many audiences as looking exactly like a lifeless plastic statue. She tried desperately to change herself merely to satisfy the gaze of others, but in doing so, inadvertently lost the one and only true natural light she possessed. The story of Tiny Harris leaves behind a highly sorrowful lesson regarding the true value of internal freedom. When you turn your physical appearance into a mere tool to cling desperately to a relationship, you are not only gambling dangerously with your health, but you are also personally forfeiting your fundamental right to respect yourself. A true, genuine love will never ever demand that you transform into an artificial, manufactured version of yourself. Amara La Negra. In the 18th position, we take a moment to analyze a case deeply reflective of our modern era, Amara La Negra. As a singer, actress, and reality television star who burst onto the scene from the show Love and Hip Hop Miami, Amara was once the shining symbol of confidence and the fierce pride of the Afro-Latina community. She possessed an incredibly seductive, highly alluring beauty, featuring her signature dark skin and a naturally fiery, voluptuous figure. Her highly anticipated appearance on television was heavily expected to finally shatter traditional rigid prejudices regarding beauty. However, as her burning ambition to advance even further in a fiercely competitive cutthroat industry grew, Amara's steadfastness began to be severely shaken by the era's harsh, unforgiving physical standards. With the intense desire to attract even more media attention and significantly increase the heat surrounding her name, Amara made the fateful decision to step into cosmetic surgery centers. The highly invasive intervention to massively amplify her lower half BBL seemed to act as a severely detrimental misstep. The drastic alteration did not yield the perfectly proportioned body she had hoped for. On the contrary, it created a stark, highly noticeable imbalance, making her basic movements and execution of complex dance routines appear heavy-labored and highly unnatural. Simultaneously, the slow drip of minor interventions on her face, from aggressively narrowing her nose to continuously injecting lip fillers, gradually but surely erased her original edgy and highly distinctive sharp features. The severe consequences of those decisions did not merely stop at her outward physical appearance. When her natural, authentic beauty was heavily replaced by artificial surgical intervention, Amara's image began to face heavy criticism from the very same loyal fans who had once loved her precisely for her raw authenticity. Audiences felt a deep sense of regret watching the once proud Black Rose now willingly turn herself into a mass-produced industrial commodity. From a humanistic philosophical perspective, the journey of Amara La Negra serves as a highly sharp, poignant warning. The burning ambition for fame is always a dangerous double-edged sword. When you accept trading away your natural, unique identity merely to buy fleeting, momentary glances of praise, the price you ultimately have to pay is often the permanent, irreversible loss of the core values that originally built your very own brand. Trina McGee, bringing our list of 19 hauntingly poignant figures to a close, is Trina McGee, a beauty who was once intimately tied to the cherished childhood memories of millions of viewers through her iconic role as Angela Moore in the smash hit television series Boy Meets World. During the mid-1990s, Trina possessed an incredibly sweet, profoundly charming beauty. Her radiant, bright smile, her incredibly expressive eyes, and a highly natural, effortless acting style helped her easily become one of the most beloved, sought-after faces on television. However, the notorious harshness of Hollywood toward actors as they age past their youth is an invisible, towering barrier that not everyone can easily or successfully overcome. When acting opportunities began to grow increasingly scarce, accompanied by deep, painful fractures in her married life in the early 2000s, Trina fell into a state of severe, highly critical psychological crisis. The crushing feeling of being forgotten and the overwhelming obsession with having to somehow maintain her youthful freshness pushed her into a long chain of highly misguided decisions. She began undergoing surgeries to aggressively narrow her nasal bridge and heavily abused dermal fillers. The ultimate results of those frantic efforts to cling desperately to her youth were in fact a merciless, unforgiving devastation. Her nose became far too small compared to the natural proportions of her face, her eyes were pulled so tight that they lost all their inherent gentleness, and her skin became tight and glossy in a highly lifeless, unnatural manner. Trina's reappearance after many years of absence did not bring joy to her audiences, but only left behind a profound sense of astonishment and ultimate regret. From a beloved muse carrying a pure, highly refined beauty, she had inadvertently locked herself into a stiff, rigid, and entirely unfamiliar appearance to the point of being incredibly difficult to recognize. Having Trina McGee close this list carries a highly complete, deeply humane significance. Her story, much like the 18 stories that preceded it, serves as a stern, ironclad wake-up call. Physical beauty is undeniably a potent weapon for a woman, but it is absolutely not an immunity card against the passage of time. True lasting peace only ever arrives when we finally learn to gracefully accept the inevitable fading of the physical body, and instead use our rich life experiences to beautifully adorn the enduring beauty of our soul. Closing these 19 stories full of deep regret, we sincerely hope that this video has provided you with moments of profound, meaningful reflection on the true, authentic value of original beauty, and helped you realize that absolutely no amount of artificial perfection can ever be traded for true peace within the soul. We respectfully wish you, our valued audience, to always enjoy truly joyful, warm, and fully loving moments surrounded by your cherished family. Please do not forget to hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and turn on the notification bell so you can continue to accompany our memory vault in our upcoming highly engaging videos. We bid you a respectful goodbye, and we look forward to seeing you again very soon.